Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. Not really a lot to say for the setup for this one. We've got 5 albums to go through. Haven't really done anything else recently. I say we just move on. We start off in the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia for The Chats and their second album, Get Fucked. This is also my second album by The Chats. I'm so sorry for my hair. And I quite liked their first one, and this one was just disgusting, crass, stupid and brassy, and I'm giving it an A because I honestly loved every moment of it. Like, The Chats are just a band that I love bands who not only don't take themselves seriously but throw themselves into that fact, and The Chats are slowly becoming one of those bands. For a band so young into their career as well, only 6 years in, and this is only the second album, I fucking love it. And also, yeah, bonus points because they're from Australia, and I love the music scene from Australia, especially the punk scene, which is what The Chats are. They're a garage punk leaning punk rock band. And I loved pretty much everything about this. The lyrics are about Australian life and offering me new sayings. I was just using the word cunt a lot. I can always appreciate that. The riffs are just very simple, but also very heavy and punchy and just very energetic. The performances as well. Also, I like the production a lot as well. A lot more than I thought I would. It's very, simple, but it still cuts pretty deep. And the structuring, well, okay, yeah, The Chats, much like on their first album, do have, just a bunch of short, punchy, fun songs. But it's a style that works for them, and they're still able to pack in a lot when they can. And I like the fact that they do dare a little bit on this album, but they don't stray too much from what makes them them. So if you just want some really fun punk rock and just really enjoyable, puts a big dumb smile on your face punk rock, The Chats are definitely the band for you, and this album might be the album for you if you just want big dumb smiley punk. Next we go to Las Vegas, Nevada for Five Finger Death Punch and their 9th album, Afterlife. Now, I am very familiar with Five Finger Death Punch. In fact, quite a bit more than I'm comfortable with these days, considering their, more recent controversies and stuff like that, and basically Ivan Moody being a massive arsehole. However, even though their past couple of albums have been dunders, this one has been a very slight improvement. I'm giving it a C+. I thought, their trying to experiment did work a little bit, but not really much for them. And this is a band that very much has the Limp Bizkit problem of the lead singer and his massive ego just overtaking everything. It feels very much the same here. I just can't really relate to Ivan Moody's pain, which is weird because he used to be really good at singing about it, and now not so much. Although, another shame about this one is that this is the band's first album with Andy James on guitar, and he's a phenomenal guitarist. I've seen him do some stuff. Okay, I've seen him do Jared Dines Red collabs, but, I will rectify that. But he does not get enough chance to shine here on his lead guitar work, and he's really good. The new drummer, I say new drummer, he was on their last album named Charlie Engen. I almost said Chad Engel, Charlie Engen, he's also really good. Chris Kell's still great, Zoltan Bathory still an amazing rhythm guitarist. It really is mostly Ivan Moody, and the lyrics are about the same things, about pain and self-doubt, and taken with a bit more of a serious scope than last time as well, but still, I don't know, it's just when Ivan Moody writes it, I don't believe it. The production was handled by Kevin Churko as well. I fucking hate Kevin Churko's work. I just cannot bring myself to enjoy anything he does. And structurally wise, again, with the experimentation, it tries to veer off from what Five Finger Death Punch normally do, and it has varying degrees of success. I don't know why I'm looking at this corner of my table. There's nothing on there. But yeah, I think it's, a very well-earned C+ grade. I liked elements of it, but it's got one massive dickhead holding it back, and the sooner that the band get rid of that dickhead, the better. Next we go to Southfield, Michigan for I Prevail and their 3rd album, True Power. Now, in a sort of record thing in this episode, this is another band where I've heard all of their stuff before. I listened to the first 2 albums and thought, they're alright, they were good, they're serviceable metalcore, but they were really holding themselves back. But I think at this point they've just become a band that have really learned how to walk the walk, and this album also gets an A. I really liked this one. By the way, an A grade is the highest grade that this episode is. I was going to say this episode's getting, that I'm giving in this episode. There we go. I really like this one a lot, though. The band has been through a lot of shit in the past few years, and you can just feel like it's like the Ghost Inside self-titled album back in 2020. The band were just holding back a lot of pain, and they're able to let it out very readily on this one. There's more themes of their mental health, depression, the current political climate, Just things that the band have always been able to handle really, really well. I love how much better the vocal chemistry is between clean singer Brian Burkheiser and screamer Eric Vandenberg. They both bounce off each other fantastically. The guitar work's really good. The entire riff work is just really, really fun. A lot heavier than what they usually do. The production's really nice as well. I don't know who produced this. Was it Drew Falk? It was Tyler Smith. They worked with him again. Although, did Drew have a hand in it at all? No. Oh well. It was on Fearless, so I falsely made that assumption. But still, really good work from a band who did get a lot of stigma initially, but they've come so far from the guys that covered Blank Space by Taylor Swift. So yeah, also structurally wise, it's got a few too many songs, but again, it's something that's really earned those bigger moments, and they're a band that have learned from their past mistakes and are doing a lot to not make them. And I think this album might solidify them, and I hope that they continue on this path because it really, really served them. Not just heavy, but definitely more emotionally hard-hitting as well. Really good performances and lyrics and riffs. Just everything about it really, really rules. So yeah, go check this one out. Next we go to, well, nowhere in particular, considering that I don't usually care to. It's a solo project, but the solo project in question is Panic at the Disco, which is just Brendan Urie and his 7th album, Viva Las Vengeance, and my first Panic at the Disco full album as well. I've heard at least one song, roughly, from every Panic at the Disco era, and I've always wanted to try and get into them, but I felt like I was holding myself back because I wasn't as into the popular elements as I am, like, these days, especially within the past couple of years, but yeah, managed to rectify that, and this album, really phenomenal. Giving it a B+. I love the showmanship on display. I love how it captures a very throwback rock and roll vibe, almost giving off a sort of Queen sort of thing, which I think is exactly what Brendan was going for. He produced the album as well, and he does a really phenomenal job on that. His guitar work is really good. His piano work is absolutely stellar. His vocals are just really great too. His entire performance is just charming and very captivating and very likable, just like the man himself, honestly. The lyrics as well, focusing on things like rock and roll, independence, self-worth, and sex as well. Really well weaved in themes and really well handled in terms of tone as well. And yeah, I can't really think of anything super against the album. Maybe it can be a little bit repetitive at times in terms of its themes, and I know a lot of the choruses felt a lot shorter than they should have been, but it's got the charm and charisma to make up for it. Brendan Urie is a great songwriter, and yeah, even with these slight structural issues, it's still an album I highly recommend checking out for yourself, even if you're not already Panic at the Disco fan. I wouldn't say I wasn't a fan, I just never got around to them before, and this is the first album by Brendan in 4 years, so yeah, definitely worth checking out. And finally, we go to Southern California. I could not find an exact location where, for Spite and their 4th album, Dedication to Flesh. Now, even though it's their 4th album, Spite is a band that's been getting more recent buzz on YouTube, I would say, with a lot of their music. They're a deathcore band, and I didn't mention the other band genres. Okay, Five Finger Death Punch are a groove heavy metal band. I Prevail are a metalcore post-hardcore band. Panic at Disco is a pop rock, sort of glam rock sort of thing. And, well, it's more glam rock on this particular album, but they're usually pop rock. And Spite are a deathcore band. There we go, I covered the entire thing. No one can get mad at me. So, this album gets a C. Okay, now people can get mad at me. I just thought that this was absolutely bang average, and it's a damn shame because 2022 might be the best year for deathcore and death metal so far in this current decade. I mean, we've had great albums by Fit for an Autopsy, Venom Prison, fucking Shadow of Intent might have dropped the best heavy release of this year, and Ingested are going to drop a new album at some point too. I mean, we got so much good shit from this year, and this one just feels don't get me wrong, it's got a lot of merit. I do like how frenetic and fast a lot of the riffs are. They don't really stick to one particular thing, so it does keep you guessing for the most part, but it's also the only trick that the album has. Like, the performances are pretty good. I like the band's drummer. I think his name is Corey or Cody Fuentes. It's something Fuentes, give me a moment. I was right, it is Cody. He does save a lot of this album for me personally. He's a really good drummer. I like a lot of the band's performance work, but everything about it is super generic. I don't like how bleak the tone of the lyrics are. I don't like how generic the lyrics feel when it comes to deathcore, talking about topics like death and religion and pain and violence. And like, we get it, we've heard those things in deathcore before. And there's not really an original way that it's all said, but at the same time, it's just an album that ironically plays it a bit too safe for me, which is why it's not an album I can absolutely fully hate either. It's just, very bang in the middle in terms of structuring as well. It's got way too many short songs, and it doesn't have enough that like builds up to something big. Except for my favorite song, "The Most Ugly." It's 5 minutes long, and it's the best song on the album. It builds up to something phenomenal by the end. I know the performances are about the only good thing about the album. Honestly, it's just a bit sort of okay everywhere else. The production doesn't help it much either, but I can't really think of anything too negative to say about it or too positive to say about it, so there you go. But yeah, that's my feelings on the entire album, really. It's neither super good or super bad, it's very dead bang in the middle, and for a deathcore album, in this day and age, that's not typically a good thing, especially considering how good deathcore has been this year as well. And that'll about do it. That is another 5 albums covered. The next thing I'll see for tomorrow night, I will be streaming My Friend Pedro, which will be my 15th Let's Play. It was also another friend and fan voted, if you could say I even have fans for my Let's Plays. Can't wait to start doing that. And eventually over the weekend, I'd like to get the Black Let's Play up. I am almost finished editing it. I just need to get a few more parts chopped up and put together. And next thing after that should be, not Music of the Week, Fight the Night review on Sunday. And also, I will get Harsh Environment up tonight as well, the pay-per-view. So, yeah, that'll about do it. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye-bye. I'll keep that in, fuck it.